The arena trembles long before either contender is seen. A low, primal vibration rolls through the ground, as if the earth itself senses that something unnatural is about to collide. This is not a battle of heroes and villains, not a contest of good and evil. This is raw power versus raw power. This is King Kong versus the Bull Man, a confrontation where dominance is not claimed by words, but by shattered stone, broken air, and the will to stand when everything says you should fall. From the shadows of the colossal arena, King Kong emerges first. Towering, ancient, and battle-scarred, he is not just a beast but a living legend. Every step he takes carries the weight of centuries of survival. His muscles ripple like living mountains beneath his dark fur, each movement a reminder that nature, when left untamed, becomes unstoppable. His eyes scan the arena, not with confusion, but with intelligence and rage restrained by experience. Kong has faced monsters, armies, and gods alike. He knows what it means to fight for territory, for respect, for survival. The air feels heavier with his presence, as if gravity itself leans toward him. Then the gates on the opposite side explode outward in a storm of dust and fire. The Bull Man charges in, a fusion of brute force and savage fury. Half man, half bull, entirely destruction. His horns curve forward like weapons forged by war itself, their tips scarred from countless battles. His chest heaves with breath that sounds like a furnace roaring to life. Muscles stretch over his frame like steel cables, built not for endurance, but for devastating impact. Unlike Kong's calculated menace, the Bull Man radiates pure aggression. He was born for combat, shaped by violence, driven by instinct and dominance. Where Kong stands tall and still, the Bull Man paws the ground, snorting clouds of dust, daring anything alive to challenge him. The moment their eyes meet, the arena falls silent. No signal is needed, no rules apply. Power recognizes power, and the clash begins. The Bull Man strikes first, exploding forward with terrifying speed. The ground cracks beneath his hooves as he lowers his head and charges, horns aimed straight at Kong's chest. It is a living missile fueled by rage and momentum. Kong reacts in a heartbeat, pivoting just enough to avoid a direct impalement. The horns scrape across his ribs, carving sparks and blood from flesh as the Bull Man rushes past like a runaway force of nature. Kong roars, a thunderous sound that shakes the arena walls. It is not just anger, it is a warning. He slams his fists into the ground, sending a shockwave outward that disrupts the Bull Man's footing. Before the Bull Man can recover, Kong lunges forward, his massive hand grabbing one of the horns mid-turn. The sheer strength behind the grip is unimaginable. For a split second, the Bull Man is halted, disbelief flashing in his eyes. But the Bull Man does not panic. He twists his body violently, using his own momentum to yank Kong forward. The sudden movement pulls the giant ape off balance, and the Bull Man capitalizes instantly. He drives his shoulder into Kong's abdomen, lifting him partially off the ground and slamming him backward into the arena wall. Stone explodes on impact, dust clouds the air. The crowd would be screaming if there were any left alive to witness this. Kong stumbles, shaking off the impact, but the Bull Man is relentless. He follows up with a barrage of brutal strikes, horn jabs, elbow smashes, crushing headbutts. Each hit lands with the sound of colliding boulders. Kong blocks some, absorbs others, his body taking punishment that would obliterate anything lesser. Blood trickles down his fur, but his eyes burn brighter with every blow. With a sudden burst of fury, Kong grabs the Bull Man by the shoulders and lifts him clean off the ground. The sheer display of strength is overwhelming. The Bull Man thrashes, hoofs kicking, horns slicing through air, but Kong roars and slams him down spine first into the arena floor. The impact sends cracks spiderwebbing across the stone, and the Bull Man lets out a roar of pain mixed with rage. Kong doesn't give him time to recover. He raises his fist and brings it down like a falling mountain. The Bull Man rolls just in time, the punch obliterating the ground where his head had been. He springs to his feet, bloodied but unbroken, and charges again, this time leaping, driving both horns forward with all his remaining force. The horns pierce Kong's shoulder. The roar that follows is deafening. Pain explodes through Kong's body, but pain has never been enough to stop him. He grabs the Bull Man midair, ignoring the horns embedded in his flesh, and rips him free with a violent wrench. Blood sprays as Kong spins and hurls the Bull Man across the arena. The massive hybrid crashes into a pillar, bringing it down in a cascade of rubble. For a moment, everything is still. Then the rubble shifts. The Bull Man rises slowly, battered, bleeding, one horn cracked, but his spirit unbroken. He pounds his chest and lets out a defiant roar that echoes with madness and pride. This is not a creature that knows how to surrender. Kong approaches, slower now, heavier with exhaustion and wounds, but unstoppable. He locks eyes with the bull man, and in that moment, there is no hatred, only mutual acknowledgement. Two lords of power, two titans shaped by conflict. The bull man charges one last time. Kong charges back. They collide in the center of the arena with a force that feels like the world splitting apart. Fist meets horn, muscle meets muscle. The ground caves beneath them as they struggle, pushing against each other with everything they have left. The bull man lands a savage headbutt, cracking against Kong's jaw. Kong responds with a devastating uppercut that lifts the bull man off his feet. The bull man falls, tries to rise, but his body finally betrays him. Kong stands over him, chest heaving, blood dripping from his wounds. He raises his fist, ready to end it. Then he pauses. The bull man looks up, defiant even in defeat. Kong lowers his fist and releases a final roar, not of victory but of dominance. He turns away, leaving the bull man alive but broken, the arena bearing the scars of their clash. When the dust settles, one truth remains carved into the shattered stone. When the lords of power meet in the arena, there are no winners without cost. Only survivors, standing on the edge of legend.